The queen of the south will rise at the judgment with this generation and condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to listen to Solomon's wisdom. And now one greater than Solomon is here.
What's the wisdom of Solomon that Jesus cited? Solomon's wisdom was to build a temple that still exists today. Everyone who has read the Bible, including Jews, knows that the temple built by Solomon for God was destroyed. Even the second temple built later was destroyed by the Romans. However, it's surprising that the temple built by Solomon for God is still alive today. This is what Jesus calls Solomon's wisdom.
Therefore, he who swears by the altar swears by it and by everything on it. And he who swears by the temple swears by it and by the one who dwells in it. And he who swears by heaven swears by God's throne and by the one who sits on it.
Many people will think that Jesus teaches us how to swear, but in fact, he tells us the fact that God lives in the temple, and he who swears by the temple swears by it and by the one who dwells in it. Since God lives in the temple must still be there. Of course, this temple is neither the first temple nor the second temple, but the real temple built by Solomon. If we carefully compare the contents of Solomon's temple construction described in 1 Kings and 2 Chronicles, the mystery of the true temple hidden in the Bible will naturally be revealed. Here we only compare two aspects. One is the coppersmith who made the secret vessels, and the other is the decoration of the wall of the temple. 1 Kings records,
Solomon sent to Tyre and brought Huram, whose mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, and whose father was a man of Tyre and a craftsman in bronze. Huram was highly skilled and experienced in all kinds of bronze work. He came to King Solomon and did all the work assigned to him.
Let's look at 2 Chronicles.
I am sending you Huram-Abi, a man of great skill, whose mother was from Dan and whose father was from Tyre. He is trained to work in gold and silver, bronze and iron, stone and wood, and with purple and blue and crimson yarn and fine linen. He is experienced in all kinds of engraving and can execute any design given to him. He will work with your craftsmen and with those of my lord, David your father.
Through comparison, we found that the two coppersmiths are not the same person. The reasons are, first, their names are different. The name of the coppersmiths in the English Bible are different from in the Chinese Bible. They are called Huram in the Chinese Bible, while the English Bible is two different names. Second, Huram in 1 Kings is from the tribe of Naphtali. Huram in 2 Chronicles is the son of a woman from the tribe of Dan. Also, their fathers were Tyre. They did not belong to the same tribe. Third, the secret vessels they made are not exactly the same, such as the copper sea and the two pillars in front of the hall. But the two coppers made two sets of holy vessels, and both sets of holy vessels are used in temples built by Solomon. This must hide the wisdom of Solomon. Solomon built two temples, one real, one fake. Let's look at 1 Kings.
So Solomon built the temple and completed it. He lined its interior walls with cedar boards, paneling them from the floor of the temple to the ceiling, and covered the floor of the temple with planks of pine. He partitioned off 20 cubits at the rear of the temple with cedar boards from floor to ceiling to form within the temple an inner sanctuary, the most holy place. The main hall in front of this room was 40 cubits long. The inside of the temple was cedar, carved with gourds and open flowers. Everything was cedar. No stone was to be seen. He prepared the inner sanctuary within the temple to set the ark of the covenant of the Lord there. The inner sanctuary was 20 cubits long, 20 wide, and 20 high. He overlaid the inside with pure gold, and he also overlaid the altar of cedar.
Let's look at 2 Chronicles.
The portico at the front of the temple was 20 cubits long across the width of the building, and 20 cubits high. He overlaid the inside with pure gold. He paneled the main hall with pine, and covered it with fine gold, and decorated it with palm tree and chain designs. He adorned the temple with precious stones, and the gold he used was gold of Parvaim. He overlaid the ceiling beams, door frames, walls, and doors of the temple with gold, and he carved cherubim on the walls. He built the most holy place, its length corresponding to the width of the temple, 20 cubits long and 20 cubits wide. He overlaid the inside with 600 talents of fine gold. The gold nails weighed 50 shekels. He also overlaid the upper parts with gold.
By comparing the above contents, we can confirm that the interior decorations of the temple are different. In the first Kings, the wall of the temple is covered with cedar, and everything was cedar. No stone was to be seen, and carved with gourds and open flowers. 2 Chronicles records,
He paneled the main hall with pine, and covered it with fine gold, and decorated it with palm tree and chain designs.
Carved with cedar and carved with pine are the first different in the decoration. Cedar and pine are two different kinds of wood. In this way, Hiram kept Solomon separate with all the cedar and pine logs he wanted. On this basis, we can conclude that Solomon built two temples. In addition, the carvings on the wall are also different. Therefore, we conclude that the true temple of God built by Solomon is still alive today.